Today I'm going to be talking about my Uril the Miststalker Commander, or EDH deck. I haven't really played it in a while, but I'm going to show you anyways, because he's fucking Uril. He's a beast. He's literally a beast. Legendary creature type, beast. Explain his abilities. It costs 2, 1 red, 1 green, 1 white for a 5/5. He has hexproof, and he gets 2/2 for each aura attached to him, which is beast mode. So attaching pretty much any aura makes him a force to be reckoned with. So we'll start off with probably the best creature enchantments to put on him, in my opinion. They're fairly low cost. I know they're higher cost creature enchantments, but it just takes too long to get to him. I mean, he is a 5-drop. You could put a 6-drop enchantment on him, but I think he's better off if you put, a 3, 2, and a 1-drop in place of the 6. Then you get an extra 6/6 on top of it. It just works out a lot better. The best creature enchantments to put on him are Spirit Mantle and Unquestioned Authority. Both of them basically make him unblockable. It gives him protection from creatures. Spirit Mantle gives him 1/1. Unquestioned Authority lets you draw a card. So they both have good advantages. Rancor is beast mode. It's always beast mode, so that's why it's in here with the beast general. Gives him 2/0 in trample, and then when Rancor goes to the graveyard from play, it goes back to your hand. So basically, give him 4/2 in trample for 1 mana. It's just ridiculous. Battle Mastery gives him double strike, so technically gives him 2/2 in double strike, making him, just with Battle Mastery, a 7/7 double strike, which can easily kill somebody with general damage. The next little set of auras for Uril are Spirit Loop, Indestructibility, Eldrazi Conscription, and Valve Lightning. Spirit Loop is another one of those Rancor type cards. Whenever it goes to the graveyard from play, it goes back to your hand. It gives your creature lifelink, and it's pretty amazing. So then he becomes a 7/7 lifelinker. Indestructibility makes a permanent indestructible, so you don't necessarily have to enchant a creature. You can enchant anything that's valuable to you. Eldrazi Conscription is not as much in here for Uril as another card. I'll get to it eventually. Valve Lightning is good just in case there's a threat against you that you don't really want to deal with, or if you're in a spot where you're ahead anyways and you got Uril out, you can equip it to him and make him super beast mode, first strike. And we have the Straggler enchantment here, Valve Duty, pretty much like Valve Lightning, only it gives it vigilance. So, yeah, it's decent. So these are my enchantment tutor type cards. I generally don't play a lot of tutors because I don't think they're very fun, honestly, because they let you get your best card in the situation that you're in. These are specifically enchantment tutors, and one of them is specifically enchantment tutor for itself, so it's not really that OP. Start with Sterling Grove. Other enchantments you control have Shroud, which is really good, especially with another card in the deck that I'll get to eventually. Pay 1, sack it, search your library for enchantment, put it on top, which is really good, especially with only playing 9 creature enchantments with Uril. It helps you get that one that's going to get you there. 3 Dreams searches for 3 aura cards with different names, which conveniently, EDH, you don't have 2 cards with the same name. So that's pretty sweet. The last one is Aura Touch Mage. Basically, Aura Touch Mage gets you Eldrazi Conscription. That's what he does. He goes out, he says, oh, I'm a 3/3, I can go get any aura card and just enchant it to myself. So for 6 mana, you get a 13/13 Trample Annihilator 2. Seems fair. You get an Eldrazi for 6 mana. It's pretty beast. Again, since the deck doesn't play too many auras, I originally had it with more auras, but it just kind of seemed kind of weak. It seemed a little creature light. So I thinned it down a little bit and added a couple recursive cards for auras. First is Retether. Every single aura that's in the graveyard gets returned to play, and it's pretty sweet, because if you have 3 of them in the graveyard and you're out, you pretty much are guaranteed to win at that point, unless they can somehow destroy all your auras. You have Auramancer. It gets you a single enchantment from your graveyard, brings it back to your hand. It's pretty good, especially with Sterling Grove. Since it's an enchantment, you can go tutor another one up. Nomad Mythmaker. It gets back an aura. I honestly have never really had a chance to even play that guy, but he is glistening. If you see right here, glistening. So, I mean, you got that. And then last, we have Naya Charm, which isn't 100% a recursive card. It has the ability to recur any card, kind of like a Recollect, but it also is a burn spell, or it's a I'm about to swing and kill you spell. It taps out all the creatures, Pretty amazing. Alright, next I have the board wipers, or the natural disasters, as I like to call them. We have Phyrexian Rebirth. It's a really cheap alternative to getting Wrath of Gods or Day of Judgments. It's like $1 rare. And with a big multiplayer game, it puts out a huge creature for you after the Wrath is done, which is amazing. Then we have Day of Judgment, which is just destroy all creatures, pretty simple. And then the actual natural disasters, Earthquake and Hurricane, not Typhoon. It's not the natural disasters from back in the wrestling days. Earthquake hits all the guys on the ground, Hurricane hits all the guys in the air, and it hits all players at the same time, so you can burn out people as well. For the last little bit of removal in the deck, we have Oblation, which returns it takes a permanent and shuffles it into its owner's library, then they draw 2 cards. If somebody does have a pesky commander, you can get rid of it, although that is a complete dick move. I generally don't do that unless the commander is just completely dominating. It's usually just a pretty good and fair removal card because it gives them 2 cards as well. Oblivion Ring gets rid of any non-land permanent temporarily as long as Oblivion Ring's out. It's good because it can be recurred by a Sun Titan, which is another card in the deck. Aura Shards is amazing. Whenever a creature comes into play under your control, you may destroy an artifact or enchantment. It's really sick with Awakening Zone, which is another card in the deck. So every upkeep, you will kill an artifact or enchantment. And then Fracturing Gust, destroy all artifacts and enchantments. You gain 2 life for each one destroyed this way, which it's a really good clutch card if you need to get rid of pesky artifacts and enchantments. You also gain a lot of life, and it's an instant, which is very unexpected most of the time when it just comes out of nowhere. Fracturing Gust, I gain 15, not 15 because, you know, it's an even number, 20 life. As far as equipment goes, the deck's not too concerned about equipment. It's more one you deal with enchantments, auras. But the 2 that we have in here, Darksteel Plate, which makes Uril indestructible, which is really important. Darksteel Plate itself is indestructible, so unless it gets exiled, Uril will stay out forever. He will wreak havoc. He will destroy your face. Bone Horde is amazing for multiplayer. It basically gives your guy a Lorgoyf ability, or a Mortivore type ability, and it only equips for 2 mana, and it comes out as a creature itself. It's just a really strong card, and it's glistening, as you can see. Bam, glistening. Now we get to my too small suite of mana fixing in the deck. Definitely could do more with this, but I haven't really played the deck in a long time, and I've kind of taken a few things out and put a few things in to make other decks better. But here's what I still have left. Armillary Sphere is amazing. It's mana fixing for any color deck. It gets you 2 lands, 2 basic lands from your deck, puts them in your hand. It's really good. Boros Signet. Signets are pretty self-explanatory. They are a good way to filter mana. The deck probably should run all 3 signets of the color combinations, but I don't care. I'm not really concerned about it. Coalition Relic is beast. That's another one that any multicolor deck should be running, just because it gives you potential ramp by putting the charge counter on it, and it gives you potentially 2 different colors with the charge counter and then tapping it. Gilded Lotus is friggin' another beast card. It taps for 3 of any color. It taps for Black Lotus. Come on now. It taps for Black Lotus. It's what, $4,000 card? And Gilded Lotus, what, $15 card? Eat it. Here we have our mana fixing creatures in the deck. First is Keeper of Progenitus, not as much mana fixing as mana exploding. It's, for the most part, it's a mana flare for you. Whenever a player taps a mountain, forest, or plains for mana, it doubles the amount. The deck plays about 50% basics to non-basics, so you usually get pretty good value out of them. Second is Verdant Eidolon, 2/2 for 4, pay 1 green, sack it, add 3 of any color to your mana pool. It's really good. It also comes back whenever you play a multicolored spell, so if you play your general, you can get your Eidolon back and potentially have mana for something else. Secure Tribe Elder, not as good as it used to be, but it's still a rampant growth, at worst. Not bad. Weathered Wayfarer, search your library for land, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library only if opponent controls more lands than you, which it's not too hard when a lot of people play types of ramp and stuff. So these cards don't fit one particular niche in the deck. They all do powerful things by themselves. Akroma's Memorial is redunk. If you play it and it does not get answered, you win. I don't think I've ever lost with an Akroma's Memorial out. It gives all your creatures the Akroma abilities. It's flying, first strike, vigilance, trample, haste, pro black, pro red. It's dumb. It's way too strong. I don't even know why they printed that. It's redone. Sensei's Divining Top, Pretty self-explanatory as well. You look at the top 3 cards, you can order the top of your library. It helps you with your land a little bit too. If you have it in your opening hand, maybe with just 2 lands. Helps you out. Awakening Zone is really good with, it's a little bit of ramp, but not as much as just some chump blockers that are put out there every turn to kind of be annoying. And, as I said before, goes really well with Aura Shards. Because it says whenever a creature comes into play under your control, you may destroy target artifact or enchantment. And every upkeep, a creature comes into play under your control. So, seems good. And then we have Privileged Position. Other permanents you control can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control. It gives them hexproof. And then we have Sterling Grove. All other enchantments you control can't be the target of spells or abilities. So this gives this one hexproof, this gives that one Shroud. You're pretty much unstoppable at that point. Alright, next we have the creatures that like enchantments. Umbra Mystic gives all the auras attached to permanents you control Totem Armor, which Totem Armor is actually really strong, especially if you have a Rancor or Spirit Loop. That means anytime your creature dies, you get the Rancor or Spirit Loop back to your hand, the creature comes back into play, you can replay it on him. He has Totem Armor again. It's a really good combo. Thran Golem, as long as it's enchanted, gets 2/2, flying, first strike, trample. Any enchantment on him makes him a pretty beastly golem too. Yavimaya Enchantress, it gives 1/1 for each enchantment in play, not just yours. It can be a pretty strong creature for 3 mana. Next we have the Protection package. Start out with Glory. I don't know if a whole lot of people know about Glory. Most people play Genesis as their incarnation. But Glory, as long as it's in the graveyard, you pay 2 and 1 white, and creatures you control gain protection from the color of your choice until end of turn, which is pretty damn good. Set's Tiger is a really sweet combat trick. It costs 4 mana for a 3/3 with Flash, so you can play it at any time. And when it comes into play, you gain protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. So if you're about to get Zerg swing by a whole bunch of red guys, you say, alright, I'll play him. I have protection from red. Eat it. You can't do anything. I basically fogged your guys with a creature. Seems pretty good. Next we have Dauntless Escort. Sack it. Creatures you control are indestructible this turn. It's a good way to deal with wrath type of effects. And Loxodon Hierarch, kind of similar to Dauntless Escort. It just regenerates them instead though. You sack Loxodon Hierarch with 2 mana and it regenerates everything. Plus, when he comes out, he gives you 4 life for a 4/4. It's just really good. It's a beastly elephant with a stick. Here we have our sort of low-end mid-range creatures at 2 and 3 mana. Starting with the Grand Abolisher. He's really good. He makes it so your shit doesn't get countered. Seems pretty good. And there's no combat tricks. So, definitely good. Great Sable Stag is just kind of in here. I don't really have any reason for him to be in here. Pro Blue, Pro Black, I guess that could be good. Can't be countered. 3/3, I don't know. He's just in here because he costs 3 mana, and I'd probably swap him out for something else. Wilderness Elemental is a friggin' house. His power is equal to the non-basic lands your opponents control. All of them. And in EDH, they have a lot. So it's not uncommon for him to be like an 8/3 for 3 mana. I mean, even on turn 3. It's pretty redundant. Last we have Hedge Troll, which generally he's a 3/3 that regenerates for 3. Pretty decent value. Just having regenerator guys is really good because they're harder to deal with. Alright, now we're getting into the 4-drops. Nullmage Shepherd. Tap 4 untap creatures you control, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Destroying artifacts and enchantments is very important. They get really pesky. There's a lot of really strong artifacts, especially, that you just don't want to deal with. Windborn Muse is propaganda on a creature. Propaganda is always really good, especially when you're in a kind of a bind. Heartbender, it's not as much in here because it's synergistic with Persist guys. It's just because he himself will stay out for a long time. Beginning your upkeep, remove 1/1 counter from each creature you control. He has Persist, so if he dies, beginning your upkeep, he's good to go again. He's just annoying. The other 4-drops we have in the deck, Ravenous Baloth. Not as good as it used to be, still decent. 4/4, sack a beast, gain 4 life. Uril is a beast, so in worst case scenario, you can sack Uril as well. Bloodbraid, needs no introduction. One of the best creatures ever, especially at uncommon. Cascades into anything that costs 3 or less. It's just really good. Maurice's Twin Claws goes really good with the auras in the deck, as well as Bone Horde, because he has double strike right off the bat. Pretty beast. Voracious Cobra, I didn't even know about this card until I searched through the cards that I had. This guy, before Glissa, I think was the first Death Touch first strike guy. But it's just worded differently. Whenever he deals combat damage to a creature, destroy that creature. 2/2 for 4. A little expensive, but it's a really good blocker. Alright, we got the 5 drops. Arcana Justice, 4/4 flyer for 5. When it dies, exile target permanent. It's really good. Nobody wants an Archon to die because they want to keep their shit. Kazul, another type of propaganda effect. If they don't pay 3, you get a 3/3 Ogre for each creature attacking. So they pretty much want to pay 3 unless they have a really big guy that they don't care about. You know, swinging into some Ogres. Ant Queen puts out a lot of little dorks. It's good for defensive. I don't even know why that's in here, honestly. I don't think I've ever even had to play it, but it's pretty decent when you have a lot of extra mana. Indrik Stomp Howler, pretty much in any deck that I have with green in it. I love the guy. He's Dirkwood Boars that destroys an artifact or enchantment. It's really good. And if you've been playing from back in the day, you know what Dirkwood Boars is. You know about that Dirkwood Boars, son? Arr! Anyway, Stomp Howler, really good. And the top of the curve is Vigor and Sun Titan, the 2 6-drops. Vigor I generally don't play because there's so many games back in the day where Vigor just means you won. If you got a Vigor out, you pretty much won the game. 6/6 Trample for 6. Its cost is a little heavy because the deck doesn't play a whole lot of forests, so I have to kind of rely on non-basics or mana fixing to get the 3 green. But if damage be dealt to a creature you control other than Vigor, prevent the damage and put a 1/1 counter on for each 1 damage prevented. That's ridiculous. So all you have to do is block one of their big guys with anything you control, and your guy is now bigger than the big guy. That doesn't seem fair. That's Vigor. Also, when it gets put into a graveyard from anywhere, you shuffle it in, because they knew back then that it was OP, they did not want you to recur it. Yep. And last we have Sun Titan. 6/6 Vigilance. When he comes into play or attacks, get something CMC 3 permanent from your graveyard and put it into play. It's really good with Aura Shards or pretty much any aura in the deck, aside from Eldrazi Conscription and Indestructibility. It'll get those back. Also, a lot of the deck costs 3 or less, so I mean you get a lot of value out of Sun Titan. I'm gonna go over the lands fairly quickly because there's not a whole lot of method to the madness with the lands here. It's just they produce multiple colors. They're generally in here just to help fix it out a little bit. First we have Salt Crusted Steppe and Fungal Reaches. They're the storage counter lands. They're amazing. If you are low on land, they'll definitely help you get the clutch spell out that you need. We have Vivid Grove, Vivid Meadow, but no Vivid Crag just because it's in another deck. No reason for that. They're really good. They produce any color. We have the Ravnica Bounce Lands. They're also really good. They help you when you're low on mana. It's basically a 2-for-1. They're just good. Alright, we have Stirring Wildwood. It's good because it can turn into a creature. And it has reach. It's an extra creature that's just hiding. It's just chilling back there. We have Terramorphic Expanse and Naya Panorama. They can both go get any basic land that you need. Good fixing. Rupture Spire, taps for any color. Should be in pretty much any multicolored EDH. And the last 3, just tap for green-red. I mean, none too fancy. You've got Rootbound Crag, Copperline Gorge, Highland Weald. Now these are the last 2 lands, and probably my favorites. Skarg. I actually remember a game with Skarg where I was playing against like some Kamigawa dude who's a 5/5 for 4. Whenever a creature becomes target of a spell or ability, you have to sack it. So I targeted his dude with Skarg, and he sacked it, and I rejoiced. It was epic. Skarg's really good. It's the original Kessig Wolf run. I like Skarg a lot. It's really good. Sunhome is a beast. Give any creature you control double strike. It's not even you control, it's target creature gains double strike. So even if you want to be a dick and double strike somebody else's Wormcoil or something, or their Blightsteel for no reason, just take 22 Infect, eat a dick. Sunhome is friggin' awesome. It's especially with Uril, he's already swinging for 5 just right out the gate. Sunhome will easily close a game. And basics, 6 mountains, 5 forests, 9 plains. Self-explanatory. It's good having basics in the deck. They're there. They produce mana. That pretty much sums up the Uril EDH deck that I have. It's a lot of fun to play. It's not the strongest deck ever because it's mainly just made with cards that I already had laying around. So it's just for fun. It's not to be pub stomping everybody. It's just to have fun. And he's pretty much impossible for people to target. He's hard to deal with. He gets there. If you want a general that's going to be attacking for the win with general damage, Uril is definitely a good choice. Go to ajmtg.com for all types of articles on casual, constructed, all types of Magic. We do it there. I write articles for them, mainly with casual fun decks that are cheap, because I am casually fun and cheap. So check it out. I'll put a link down in the description. Uber Robot with ajmtg.com. Pizzat.